It is always a good read, but perhaps the most relevant part of Bezos' letter this year was his comments on labor in the wake of that union vote in Alabama, that we covered so closely. He asks, does your chair take comfort in the outcome of the recent union vote in Bessemer? No, he doesn't. I think we need to do a better job for our employees, close quote. At the same time, though, he blamed the media for misrepresenting their employees as desperate souls or being treated like robots. He says, and I'm quoting again here, that's just not accurate. Guys, it's notable that Bezos addressed labor issues because they are unlikely to go away just because the union's vote did go in Amazon's favor. When he steps down as CEO, his successor, Andy Jassy, is going to have to deal with all of this. So in a way, he's laying the groundwork here and admitting that they do have to do better. He also updated Prime membership numbers, which now stands at 200 million. That's an increase of 50 million just last year. Remember that Prime members spend more, they buy more often. It is central to the Amazon flywheel, and that is a significant increase in line with Amazon's booming business during the pandemic. Lastly, Bezos left on a very Bezos-like note. He quotes a passage from a Richard Dawkins book that reads in part, staving off death is a thing that you have to work at. He uses it to remind Amazon that it needs to continue to work hard to stay distinctive and stay alive, keep working, keep innovating. And that, guys, is really a nod to the message in his very first annual letter in 1997, where he laid out his philosophy that has guided him over the past 20 plus years. It must always be day one. Back to you.
Yeah, Deirdre, I mean, that 1997 first letter was definitely featured pretty prominently in this letter. I mean, I'm just looking at, to go back to the employment discussion, they hired 500,000 employees last year, 500,000 employees. As other companies were shedding millions of employees in total, they hired 1.3 million people now, one of the largest employers, at least here in the U.S. It really speaks to why this company is now under such great scrutiny.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Morgan. I'm glad that you bring it up. 1.3 million employees that Amazon has. That makes it the #2 private employer in the country. And that is why we are talking about these labor issues so often. On one hand, you know, Amazon pays all of its employees at least $15 an hour. It has its own minimum wage. There's lots of benefits. But some of the issues over the pandemic, when it added so many, was its treatment. And that's really what this whole labor debate and unionization debate is about. Not that wage, but the treatment of workers and how hard they're worked to get that Amazon efficiency that has made it, you know, this 1.5 trillion plus market cap company.
You know, Deirdre, our last guest, Chris Ailman, spent a lot of time from CalSTRS talking about climate in his appearance just now. Bezos also spends a good amount of time in the letter discussing climate change and what their approach is going to be.
Yeah, the climate pledge, that has been a project of Amazon for some time. They talk about that often at their annual meeting. So Bezos reiterating that goal. And, you know, it's interesting because one of the things he also said in that letter is kind of like, trust us. We can do all of this. We can treat our employees better. We can achieve our climate goals. We can create a cloud company in AWS. And at some point, you know, investors, they've wondered this for a long time. Can Amazon do everything? The track record is pretty good on that front. You don't want to bet against Bezos, but they're taking on more and more. As Morgan alluded to, 1.3 million employees now. This climate pledge that they're getting other companies to sign on to. And, you know, it's just a number of challenges. You've also got regulatory scrutiny on the company that's only increasing. So while Amazon has historically achieved many, many different goals, it may be harder to do for this next phase when Andy Jassy takes over.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.